afternoon. I think we're going to start. I'm going to introduce Dr. Tariq Mitri, who will be running the conference, former minister and head of the Islam Affairs Institute, and really an individual who can get all sides engaged, get nice creative tension in the discussion, but leave a role for everyone to express their opinions civilly, but in an excited and I think exciting manner. So Dr. Tariq Mitri is chairing the session. Please, Dr. Mitri.
Well, I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you so much, Mr. President. I think we're gathering around Amir Farid Shahab. Where is he? And most of you know him, and I think that's the primary reason why we're all here. Farid, I often associate him with creative industries in Lebanon. I think he's one of those that dynamized creative industries, made them more vibrant, and expanded the scope of creative industries from traditional high culture industries, as the Germans would call them, theater, cinema, music, into a diversity of creative industries. He's been with, as you all know, with Lebanon for many, many years, and now it's been re-baptized or reorganized with Rashad Rab, and it's called PBCs, and it's doing lots of interesting things. And we may have an opportunity to listen to Farid telling us about the interesting things he's done. But I think what is most important is that he's been always interested in public life. And he has written a lot with passion, but also convincingly, and I've read his stuff. His first book, A Bat for a National Conscience, written in French, translated to English, had generated an interesting discussion. So did the Blue Water book. He's the chief drafter. I'm sure you're familiar with the Blue Water report. It's most unfortunate that this interesting report was kind of misunderstood and criticized, not for what it said, but for what people thought it was trying to say, not for the motives of those who were behind it, but for the intentions that some thought the authors had, ulterior motives behind the stated ones. Be that as it may, I think Farid takes pride in having been the major drafter of this report. And today, our discussion is not around, but starts from some of the ideas that he has developed in his latest of happiness and ideas. And the speakers of today are people who have ideas. And they will be brief, succinct, but will convey to us not just the gist of what they're doing, but what is that drives them, and what do they expect from those of us who are supportive of new ideas that are generated by public figures, such as most of those that are around the table. I thought that we should perhaps start, Mr. President, with you, because AUB has a vision for Lebanon, has a vision for the region, but certainly for Lebanon. And perhaps you can share with us how you see this vision developed in those years.
Thank you, Dr. Mitri. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. I had the privilege of meeting with Mr. Shahab, so I could focus the vision into 5 to 7 minutes. So I really wanted to talk about one topic specific to us at AUB and in higher education, which is really on creativity and how to best unleash it in the young. And one of my favorite, but arguably least enjoyable writers once said, "All great deeds and all great thoughts have a ridiculous beginning." The author, of course, being Albert Camus, who you don't necessarily associate with happiness, but you do associate with ideas. I think today in higher education, and not just in Lebanon, we live in an environment that seems structured almost purposely in a way to stifle creativity. The modern cocktail of overwhelming technological advances, pervasive social inequity, and trenchant nativism that Mr. Trump has really been an outstanding example of recently, really carries many risks for the young. But none of them is greater than the greatest risk of all, which is choking the creative drive of young people right at the pipeline. That's because these individuals generally harbor that greatest of talents, which is creativity. And from creativity, there's a fairly strong correlation with happiness. It's true that adversity can often create the milieu or enhance the milieu for creativity, but in my very first talk to the AUB community, I spoke about how that is really the less desirable way to stimulate creativity, is to have such an environment of adversity as, for example, Price experienced, that he had to be creative. So how do we move forward to create an environment in the educational milieu of Lebanon that can be conducive to enhancing creativity? And what's the role that the educational community, in particular in higher education, and you've heard about the partnership that we're forging specifically with Saint Joseph University to try to further this vital societal goal of enhancing creativity. I think we in the great universities in Lebanon and in the Arab world have to be up to the task of nurturing and enhancing the rare talents that populate our universities. By that, I'm speaking of the faculty, staff, alumni, and especially the students. How do we do it? I think the first step is to be honest and to really seriously examine our own pedagogy. Are we creating the environment? Are we teaching in a way that fosters creativity and emphasizes it? And I think looking across the spectrum of higher education, not just at AUB, but all the way to Harvard, Yale, Oxford, Cambridge, I would give us at best a C- or a D+. We don't create the tool set that our students need to go out and be creative, because we structure them within an environment of saying, this is what you need to learn, this is what you can write on, that's the creative part. But at the end of the day, you need to know the basic language. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's also probably a missed opportunity there. We should be adding an emphasis on creativity, on civic engagement, and on leadership, all of which will be part of what we're working on in our own pedagogy. So that brings forth the question, are we keeping up with the times and producing new opportunities while hanging on to that aspect of our educational curriculum that's most vital? It's very important not to throw out the baby with the bathwater. We don't want to change just for the sake of change. We want to change to enhance, to accelerate, to improve. So to do that, we have to take advantage of our strengths. And among our strengths at AUB really is the finest department of education in the Arab world. We really have a superb department that innovates in education. And what we need to do is work with them to look at our curricula in engineering and medicine and other areas, to look in this area of constant renewal. We have to do that in the following manner. Not only look at what's good and what's creative, but also look at what it is that produces positive stimuli that together, when they acclimate and they coalesce, can result in happiness. Mr. Shab writes of happiness and the role it plays in creativity. I believe that the two are generally synergistic, that happiness and creativity are not mutually exclusive, but rather dynamic and intertwining forces and factors. Once we do that, and once we review ourselves carefully, and understand what we do well and what we do less well that can be improved. We need to do that in listening to our students and to our faculty and our staff in an open-minded way, because criticism is good. We then need to go back and work with them to change our curriculums, because our students are not just empty vessels that we fill with our creative ideas. They have their own ideas. We don't want to imprint them to the extent that they are passive learners. So I have to say that in discussions with the faculty, the students, and the staff, I believe that we at AUB are genuinely committed to reviewing what we do and to empowering and enabling creativity in our student body and in the wider community. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to launch an innovation park this fall, led by Salim Shaheen, among others. That's an element of enhancing creativity that will allow people to capitalize their ideas. And since I see many of the captains of industry in our front rows, that should be of interest. But we're also going to look at things that may not be economically capitalized quite so easily, that may create a different form of creativity that's deeply needed in Lebanon and the Arab world, and looking at different solutions. That's one of the things you saw our students do in the holiday break when they got together to come up with a new and fair proportional example of student elections. Quite candidly, I think this would be great for the country and for the Arab world at large, but it's not for us to impose, it's for us to provide solutions that people will think of. These are some of the principal reasons that I personally returned to Lebanon and AUB about a year ago, and why I find this time so exciting in Lebanon, at AUB, and in the Arab world. This is one of the periods post-Arab Spring where we can see a sea change in how young people are thinking about their futures, and in how different governments and different aspects, certainly of the private sector in Lebanon and even the government, are starting to examine what they can do to provide a future. For example, I don't believe that the future of our outstanding young people is to continue to export them as the best product of Lebanon and the Arab world. We have to create economic opportunities. We have to create educational and other opportunities, and we have to enhance participation. So I'm looking forward to hearing from my colleagues today and from the discussion that will ensue. I hope we will notarize what we've all said so that we can all be held accountable, because I like not to say things that I then don't do, and I'm sure everybody here feels the same way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I think I would give the floor for a few minutes to Farid.
Kouris, thank you so much for your support, so that we could make this session to happen. Without it, it could have not happened. So I think that when I wrote the book of Happiness and Ideas, which I wanted to sign for, I thought that signing a book for just signing a book was useless. So I believe that it was better to try to give it a higher purpose. And the higher purpose being an idea for Lebanon. Hence, this session today. So we're going to work together to try to find what sort of ideas can really help Lebanon to become a better place to live, and where Lebanese could be a little bit happier. So I'm going to be very short on that because we don't have a lot of time, and I leave it to our moderator to carry on. Thank you.
Second speaker is Fuad Makhzoumi. He's known to you, industrialist, businessman, but more importantly, a public figure in Lebanon.
We've decided, some of us, and we have here Mr. George Zarda Mujawdi, and we have people like Jibrail of Erga, and we have Farid and Bernard, and few of us, we said, how can we change the image? How can we actually sell Lebanon rather than to be able to fall into the trap and the eye of the storm that we are in?
Harmony and conflict. The legend says that the region we call biblical witnessed the clash of gods with man's arrogance.
Everyone on earth spoke the same language, people decided to build a city and a tower with its top in the sky to get closer to God.
Seeing this, God decided to punish them for their vanity and confused their speech and scattered them around the world. But from the same biblical land came also the story of unifying people.
The Phoenicians, who invented a way to reunite humans and ease their communication, the alphabet.
The alphabet prospered and civilizations were built, but disharmony between people remained. So this is also the story of conflict.
A world that no longer tolerates the other, where hate seems to rule.
And this is what we want to change.
Once a weapon of trade, let's turn the alphabet into a weapon of unity.
And let's do it with the one form that can transcend all conflicts: art.
If you are a graffiti artist, befriend a tagger from a different continent to create a unique mural.
If you are a painter, mix your colors with another painter from another part of the world and craft a new piece of art.
If you are a writer, join your letters with someone else's and create a new semantic. Our project gathers all kinds of artists from different parts of the globe.
Together, they will create joint pieces of art that will become ambassadors of tolerance. They will travel the world in international galleries, telling a different story coming out from our region.
And the most original piece of art, the one that carries best the message of dialogue, will be rewarded by an international jury.
This one-of-a-kind yearly initiative will kick off in Lebanon in 2017.
All pieces of art presented will form the first outdoor Dialogue of Alphabets exhibition.
So let's start. Only together we can put art at the service of dialogue.
The idea was, let's start a dialogue. Lebanese are known to be good talkers, good promoters, good marketeers. But the problem is that we communicate with the others, but we do not communicate among ourselves. We tend to blame others for the failure of communication when it comes to be dealing with us. This is what we need to change. This is the whole idea of trying to start this dialogue, change the image of Lebanon in order that we can talk to people, talk to all the world leaders saying, give us the chance, because this is the real Lebanon. What you see in the media is not real Lebanon. So I think all of us have to look. I think Fareed has done a good job opening the doors for all of us. We all have to work together, because I think this is how we can secure a better future for our youth, because we do not want to end up, all of us, middle-aged and elderly people, and the country will not be finished. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you're absolutely right in emphasizing the dialogue of life that we have in Lebanon. The speaker now is Ms. Nada Zarour. She's the Green Party leader and an activist, Green Mind. And would you please share with us your idea for Lebanon?
This project was guaranteeing a surplus of 500 million cubic meters for Lebanon. شو عم نحكي؟ شو هيدا الحلم اللي كان عم يحط لنا اياه بين ايدينا؟ And of course, reducing the annual water bill paid by citizens and will providing 3,000 job opportunities. شو هيدا؟ شو بدي؟ The role of the Green Party of Lebanon for such a national project is to help with the execution of the people by helping in establishing a national water council. This was our goal, everybody. To ensure a sustainable plan for the water sector. Second, cooperating with the parliaments. This is our duty as a political party in this confused country. Cooperating with the parliament's committees in order to adopt Blue Gold as a national strategy. This was our role as a Green Party related to your ideas and the CIA's ideas. About my idea and my happiness. This year, Fareed shared our happiness, my happiness, with the creation of the Lebanon Climate Act program that aims at creating economic growth by addressing climate change challenges. Lebanon Climate Act established a network of companies and institutions actively engaged in the fight for climate change through concrete initiatives and multi-stakeholders approaches and will contribute in a sustainable and profitable manner to a strong and effective response to climate change. And thank you to many that are here, that they joined Lebanon Round. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you'll find in this meeting enough people that will be supportive to your climate. And there is a lot of energy here that I think you and Farid are in a better place than most of us to capitalize on. Thank you. And now the speaker is Shatran, he's the CEO of Publicis Communications in the Middle East, North Africa region. I think he's worked for a good number of years in tandem with
36 years only.
36 years only.
Lebanon is very well placed, extremely well placed, to create a regional global digital hub a la Silicon Valley. We have the talent, we have the right geography, and we have all what it takes in order to be a hub for the world like India is. Free zone. Establish a free zone in which SMEs and freelancers who work for non-resident companies get some encouraging benefits like tax-free, fiscal constraint relief, no required capital, freedom of hire of needed and relevant expertise. Last but not least, because I think I consumed, create a Ministry of Creativity. What about creating a Ministry of Creativity? Dubai created Ministry of Happiness. Ministry of Happiness. But why? Because they are at a level, they don't talk about now the problems that we're talking about. They're talking about happiness now. It's not satisfaction, it's happiness.
And ideas.
And ideas. And we, living in Dubai, we are happy, and we will always say Dubai was extremely good to all of us as being Lebanese. For us, I think
I agree.
you are the most placed person to talk about it. Create a Ministry of Creativity. Our country is full of brilliant creative minds and talents in all creative fields. Example, I mean, you talk about design, you talk about fashion, you talk about jewelry design, you talk about product design, you talk about furniture design. It is a very, very vast field that we can benefit from. And we need an official body that would really listen to those people and try to help them and support them and transform all those creative, big creative ideas into executions, business executions that will create opportunities for the youth to stop talking about just leaving the country. I can't tell you how many phones I receive and how many CVs I receive every day in Dubai from people wanting to move from Lebanon and going to Dubai.
Thank you. I think those of us who live in Lebanon share many of your frustrations as someone who lives in Dubai and comes to Lebanon and is disappointed with what you see here. Now the speaker now is Mariam Khalid. She's the Executive Director of the Executive Office of La Banque du Liban.
As you all know, the central bank has been taking several initiatives through all the past years in order to sustain growth, to grow employment, to trigger the economy, whether in stimulus packages or subsidized loans in education, housing, renewable energy, environment, industry, tourism, and the list goes on. And in the same line of objectives, in August 2013, that is 3 years ago, His Excellency Governor Riyad Salami issued Circular 331, which has become now a very famous circular dedicated to entrepreneurs and to the startup space. This circular allows banks for the first time in Lebanon to participate in equity financing. We all know that banks are used to giving loans and credits. Now the central bank has allowed banks to be partners, to partner with startups and entrepreneurs. Over and above, we wanted to create a network space for these people, for these young entrepreneurs, to be able to gather and to share their experience, to learn, to communicate with the outside world, and to attract investments So we decided to establish a conference, a yearly conference. We called it BDL Accelerate, following our efforts that we have done. And this conference is the most progressive startup conference on the Mediterranean. I say it with all modesty. We started off with 2,000 attendees in 2014, and now we're expecting more than 10,000 in 2016. The most prominent speakers from all over the world, the top-notch speakers, will come to Beirut to share their successes and their outlooks. We want Beirut on the map of entrepreneurship and on knowledge economy, and we will make everything to make that happen. This year, BDL Accelerate is a 15,000 square meter dynamic space featuring dozens of startups and large enterprises showing their groundbreaking innovations around the world. This time, we will be introducing what we call the Innovation Theater that will open our minds to the world of tomorrow through a series of curated, inspirational keynotes and panels. The trailer we're going to see is of 2014. This year it's going to be on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of November, and I really hope to see everyone there, especially the university students, because they are our hope, they are the future, and we are counting on them. To conclude, Banque Liban had an idea that will keep young Lebanese, not in Dubai, not in Europe, not even in Silicon Valley, but it will keep young people at home. We have proved to the world that we can take the biggest challenges. It is time to prove to the world that we can take the next stride for innovation. Thank you.
Now, the speaker is Iyad Nasser.
First of all, thank you very much. I'm going to thank Farid to invite me on this table and sharing with me the speaker phone and this table. So first let me introduce myself. I'm Iyad Nasser, and I think I have an idea like all of you, and I really appreciate each one of you having a great idea, a great dream, and you look forward to give hope for Lebanese. First of all, this idea came from my story. I'm gonna tell you a story about this child who was abandoned by his mother when he was 6 years old and raised by a father who was half depressed and couldn't take care of this child. He couldn't give him love, affection, attention, care. Why I'm telling you this story? Because the story of this child is almost similar to the story of Lebanon. Lebanon is this child who is abandoned by mainly all the Lebanese. I'm not here to make lecture, but we are all here blaming 200 politicians, but the majority is us. We are 4 million Lebanese where we can make a change. Now I was hearing the Banque Centrale of Lebanon, which I really like the ideas, but if we all gather and since we are all here, we are billionaires, we are businessmen, we are Lebanese, all together we can make this change. Each idea we can adopt it and we can make it happen. We don't need any government to give us lecture, to tell us if we can make electricity plant. We can take money from Banque Centrale and give power to all Beirut, and I don't think anybody will disagree on this.
Already we are doing that.
This is excellent, this is a great idea. So anyway, the story about this child who was raised for almost 20 years by himself. This child suffered a lot since he didn't have any attention, any care, any love. He found at 18, when he was 18, he found himself buying his own car, buying his own watch, and he realized that he doesn't need any politicians, he doesn't need any parents, he doesn't need any government, he doesn't need any religion, and this child is still in me, and it was my story. And today I have, I don't know if you heard about Loft Investments, It's a development and creation company. We did like 12 huge projects in Beirut, Ashrafieh, in the mountain, and in France. I hired like the best, very well-known architects like Bernard Khoury. All this to tell you, France, Lebanese, we don't need any politicians to help us. We don't need any, we are one family. If we can be the parents of Lebanon. Since I didn't have parents, I didn't have anyone to take care of me, I took care of myself. My hands were... So if we today, the people are here, we have billionaires, we have millionaires, and we have people, they have all the hope to make a change. If the change will start from us, if we are here just to blame others, we can spend another 500 years blaming the Phoenicians, they brought us here. So today, we cannot compare Beirut to Dubai. Dubai existed 26 years ago. It is only an example. But today, we Lebanese are traveling all around the world, making changes. We are creating the best cars, we are creating the best businesses. Why today we cannot get united all together without looking about religion, without looking about any affiliation? We today have to look at each other as one human being. If today we do not put hands in hands, I will tell you and assure you, in 50 years there will be no more Lebanon, no more Arab countries. Because look around, the power, the money, the glory, this is where they turn all the Arab countries falling apart. Today, Lebanese are 4 million Lebanese and 15 million abroad. If we can put everyone together, because I think everyone is for making the roads, road safety, electricity, public beaches. I don't think anyone will disagree with me. Why I'm here today, because we created this idea, we have this idea about something that bothers all the Lebanese. It's the road safety. I don't think anybody will disagree about making road safety as a first priority. If we make it happen, we can gather 2 million Lebanese at least, driving every day safely, liking each other, caring for each other, helping each other, and mainly respecting each other. We are forgetting that we do not respect each other on the street. We love to stay at home. We love to go to restaurants. And we are the happiest person when we are together. But when you are on the street, like one of the policemen told me, we are still having the civil war in Beirut in the streets. So basically, if we want to remove the civil war, we need to start respecting each other. And now since Banque du Liban is willing to help us, we are making a project that it will help at least 2 million Lebanese together. This is an awareness campaign that already I talked to many responsible politicians. They are all willing to help. The major problem was the ego. We all have this ego in Lebanon. We always put the blame on others, but the problem is in us. When we are at the airport in Paris or London, we are all looking at each other like, yeah, no, I'm not happy to come back in Beirut, look at the people. They are looking at us saying the same thing. Today, we are not better than anybody else. We need to be all united, rich, poor, politicians, everyone. We need to bring the safety, the road safety in the country. We need to bring the respect to 2 million Lebanese who are driving every day. If we can bring the respect on the street, we can bring it everywhere.
واحدة من أكثر المشاكل اللي بتجمعنا ومنعاني منها كلنا وما فينا نختلف حولها هي قضية السير والطرقات. حوادث، طرقات محفورة، ستريس وقلة احترام بين بعض بتأثر على إنتاجيتنا لكل النهار. مشروعنا هو مشروع وطني لتعزيز ثقافة السير والقيادة الآمنة واللي ما بتتحقق إلا بشراكة كل القطاعات والمعنيين فيها. كلنا مسؤولين، أفراد، جمعيات، قطاع عام، قطاع خاص، إعلاميين، شرطة، كلنا. كرمال هيك مشروعنا رح يتضمن 3 مستويات: العمل على تأمين طرقات سالمة، نشر الوعي، وتطبيق القانون. كيف؟ الشق الأول: تأمين طرقات سالمة من خلال إطلاق تطبيق خاص بيسمح للمواطن تصوير أي شواذ بالطرقات وتحميله، ورح تتم معالجته بالتنسيق مع البلديات والجهات المعنية. الشق الثاني: التوعية، من خلال توعية الأطفال اللي هن رح يكونوا سفراء للمشروع بكل بيت وبكل سيارة وعلى كل رصيف، من خلال إشراكهم ببرنامج لتعلم قيادة السيارات وأخلاقياتها، وإشراك الشباب ببرنامج تطوعي موجه لتوعية الناس بالطرقات ومكافأة الملتزمين منهم بقانون السير وأخلاقياته، ورح يكون في رقم ولباس خاص للتواصل معهم. الشق الثالث: التطبيق. إلى جانب خطتنا للتشبيك والتنسيق مع الجهات المعنية من أجل تعزيز تطبيق قانون السير، رح نطلق أبليكيشن بتسمح للمواطن أخذ صور للمخالفين وتحميلها على ويب سايت مفتوح لكل الناس، تقدر القوى الأمنية استخدامه لإصدار المخالفات، ومن هون بيعود جزء من مردود هالمخالفات لدعم تحسين الطرقات بكل مناطقنا. بنهاية هالبرنامج وبدعم كل واحد منكن رح نحول كل لبناني لشرطي سير لننعم بطرقات آمنة بتوصلنا للتغيير.
Now the speaker is Alisaka Kamla. She's known to you. While preparing for the Baalbek opening on the 22nd, she chose to be with us today. She is the artistic director of Kalakana Dance Theatre.
My idea for Lebanon would be to create, fund, and execute an opera house in the heart of Beirut. This idea had been visited in previous years for Beirut. It was brought about by a group of scholars, artists, learned men and women who saw the importance of Lebanon having a prestigious trademark such as an opera house. The land was found, the idea was created, but it never actualized. An idea is 1%. 99% is the work that we have left to do. I head and run a dance school home to 2,000 students. Today, many of my students, once they reach a level where they want to go further, they end up leaving Lebanon. They go to Europe and the United States. As one, the government does not allow me to give diplomas. And two, the amount of work in the performing arts for students in the region is not substantial. Our artists, Lebanon's future, has to leave to pursue their dreams. When Lebanon has its first opera house, it would create a hub for artists, a home which will eventually create a need for specific programs in the arts to be created and funded in schools and universities so that we can graduate substantial performing artists, dancers, singers, artistic technicians, lighting designers, scriptwriters, and so on. An institution such as an opera house would create a platform for the youth to have a goal in the arts, and hence we in Lebanon would nurture our artists. Arts education is vital to society. Art is life-enhancing. It allows us to define our personal and national identity. A society without the civilizing influence of the arts would be bereft of national conversation.
When I heard Nada saying to Ayad that we should meet and sit together and work together, I think there's a solution to your question. To get somewhere is to start really sitting together, NGOs, and have one big project, or work each one his own project, but sitting together to have a louder voice. And if our voice is louder, people will listen. And if people will listen, we can have a grassroots movement that can totally yield to change. Our problem is that everyone wants to shout on his own, but we cannot shout together. Let's shout together, and one of the objectives of the session is to try to have really a forum where we can exchange ideas together. Because only together we can get somewhere. As far as I'm concerned, I want to thank all this distinguished panel for having accepted us. And if I have been able to put some inspiration so that we carry on, so please, let's carry on together. And you'll get my next book in 6 months' time.